At 6:14 in the evening, a woman drops an envelope into a blue collection box on a street corner. She walks away. She does not think about what happens next. Most people don't. The envelope sits in the dark, but somewhere a truck is already on its way. Postal collection routes run on rigid schedules, often twice a day, 6 days a week. The driver has memorized the sequence. He doesn't need a list. 43 collection points, 43 boxes, some full, some nearly empty. He notes the difference. The truck moves on. By 8 p.m., the van is full. Trays stacked floor to ceiling, rubber-banded bundles, loose flats, small parcels wedged between. The interior smells of paper and cardboard. The driver heads back, not to a post office, to something much larger. The mail processing and distribution center does not look like much from the outside. A long, low industrial building, loading docks along the back, a few lit windows. No signage visible from the road, but inside the building is already awake. Has been all day? Will be all night. The night shift begins at 9 p.m. 140 employees badge through the security door in the space of 20 minutes. Supervisors run through briefings. Conveyor lines are checked. Belt tensions are tested. The machines are already warmed. The first inbound trucks are pulling in now. The unloading dock receives the first truck at 9:22 p.m. The driver backs in. The dock door rises with a mechanical groan. Inside the trailer, mailbags, large gray trays, strapped pallets. 2 unloaders climb inside. A belt conveyor is extended into the mouth of the trailer. The transfer begins. The trays travel down the intake belt. Each one is scanned automatically. Weight, size, point of origin. The data is logged in milliseconds. A supervisor watches the screen. Green markers scroll past. One tray throws a yellow flag, damaged label. He reaches for his radio. The tray is diverted. This is the first sort. Broad categories. Inbound local. Inbound regional. Outbound international. The machines do not decide destination yet. They only separate. The letters are pulled from trays and fed into a different machine entirely. Flat sorting equipment designed to handle hundreds of pieces per minute. The delivery barcode sorter, the DBCS, is the heart of the operation. It is a long machine, sometimes stretching over 100 feet through the sorting floor. Envelopes enter one end. A camera captures the address in a fraction of a second. A barcode is sprayed onto the back. The machine reads it again and again until it knows exactly where that letter belongs. Addresses that the machine cannot read are not thrown away. They are photographed and routed to a different screen, a remote encoding center. There, a human operator types the address, their decision is transmitted back to the facility in seconds, and the letter is re-entered into the sort sequence. No piece is abandoned without a reason. Maria has worked the night sort for 11 years. She operates the manual facer canceller, the machine that orients letters before they enter the automated lines. If a letter is upside down, she corrects it. If the stamp is crooked, she adjusts. Her hands move without thought, a quiet rhythm repeated 10,000 times per shift. The sorting floor is loud. Conveyors hum at a constant pitch. The DBCS units produce a sustained mechanical roar, thousands of envelopes moving against rollers every minute. Workers wear ear protection. Communication is often by hand signal. A raised fist means stop the belt. An open palm means send it through. By 10:30 p.m., the sort is processing at peak volume. Tonight, that means roughly 180,000 pieces of flat mail moving through this single facility, not including parcels, which are processed in an entirely separate wing. The mathematics of a postal night shift are staggering and almost entirely invisible to the world outside the building. The parcel wing operates on different logic. Parcels vary in size, in weight, in packaging material, in fragility. What works for a letter does not work for a box. The parcel sorter uses a different system, dimensional scanners, weight sensors, a tilt tray mechanism that tips each parcel into the correct output chute at precisely the right moment. Not all parcels enter the tilt tray system. Oversized items, large flat rate boxes, awkward shapes, anything over a set dimension, are pulled out and processed manually. 2 workers handle this station. They scan, they label, they hand key destination codes into a terminal. One of them has been doing this for 6 years. He can guess the destination of a parcel before he scans it. He is almost always right. There are machines in this facility that run for 12 hours without pause. Not because they cannot be stopped, but because stopping costs time. And time costs sequence, and sequence is the entire logic of a postal system. Everything downstream depends on everything upstream arriving in order. The machine operators know the sounds. Every machine has a normal state, a specific tone, a rhythm, a vibration pattern. When that pattern changes, something is wrong. A low vibration becomes a knock. A smooth feed becomes a flutter. Workers are taught to listen before they look. At 11:15 p.m., there is a jam, not a mechanical failure. A single letter has entered the feed tray at a slight angle. The machine detects the irregular feed and pauses that section 3 seconds. A worker reaches in, adjusts the letter, clears the flag. The machine resumes. 11 seconds total downtime. By midnight, the first batch of sorted mail begins to leave the building. Not through the front door, through the outbound dock, a separate row of bays on the opposite side of the facility. The sorted trays are loaded onto cages. The cages are wheeled to waiting trucks. Drivers check their manifests, engines start. Each outbound truck is headed to a specific zone: rural routes, suburban distribution points, airport hubs for interstate transit. The sorting facility is not the final stop. It is a node in a much larger network, one that extends across a region, a state, a country. There is a room inside the facility that most workers have never entered: the Optical Character Recognition Server Room. Banks of processors and memory units, all dedicated to reading, handwriting, interpreting faded ink, compensating for damaged labels. The room is kept cool, it hums, it never stops. Handwritten addresses are the hardest problem. Print is manageable, but a handwritten address from an elderly sender, slanted characters, inconsistent spacing, a zip code written in a different hand, pushes the system to its limits. The OCR engine assigns a confidence score. Below 85%, it flags for human review. The human operator takes over. At 12:45 a.m., the break room fills. 24 workers on rotating 15-minute breaks. The room is plain: formica tables, vending machines, a television that plays with the sound off. People sit, drink coffee. Some eat, some close their eyes for exactly 12 minutes. One worker checks her phone, a message from her daughter. She smiles. She puts the phone away and stands. The night supervisor, James, has been running shifts here for 14 years. He carries a two-way radio, a tablet, and a running awareness of every active line in the building. He does not supervise from an office. He walks. He stops. He watches. He moves on. His presence is the connective tissue of the operation. The system runs in layers. Layer 1, the physical sort. Layer 2, the digital tracking. Layer 3, the logistics coordination between this facility and the dozens of others it must interface with tonight. Every outbound shipment must be logged. Every truck must be manifested. If a truck leaves without a manifest, it is recalled. That has happened twice in 14 years. 2 a.m., the second wave of inbound trucks arrives. These carry mail from the air network, freight that came off a plane within the last 3 hours from a hub airport 2 states away. The sorting floor shifts to absorb the new volume. An extra line is activated, 17 workers reassigned. The adjustment takes 4 minutes. Air mail is processed with priority flags. Express items are separated at the front of the sort: first class, priority, overnight. The names vary by carrier, but the logic is the same. These envelopes travel faster, not because the machines are faster, because they enter the sort with higher priority codes, and those codes cascade through every downstream decision. The facility also handles something that most people never consider: undeliverable mail. Mail with no return address, packages addressed to buildings that no longer exist, letters addressed to people who have died. There is a unit for this: 2 workers, a separate conveyor, a set of protocols reaching back decades. The dead letter office is not a myth. It exists in various forms across postal systems worldwide. In the United States, the Mail Recovery Center in Atlanta handles millions of undeliverable pieces each year. Items of value are held for 30 days, then auctioned. Irretrievable personal mail is eventually destroyed. The system preserves what it can and releases what it cannot. 3 a.m. The floor is in its rhythm. The machines have not changed speed, the workers have not slowed. But the volume has shifted. The second wave is fully in process. The outbound dock is now at full pace, trucks departing every 10 minutes. The facility exhales. Some of those trucks will travel through the night to reach smaller facilities, local delivery units, sometimes called LDUs. These are the facilities most people would recognize as a post office. But they are not post offices in the public sense. They have no service counter, no lobby, just docks, sort cases, carrier routes, and the morning dispatch. At the main facility, the maintenance crew begins their rounds at 3:30 a.m., not during a shutdown, during active operations. They move alongside the machines, lubricating, replacing worn rollers, checking belt tensions, tightening fasteners. The machines do not stop for them. They work around the flow. There is a machine in the parcel wing that reads torn labels, not just barcodes, torn labels. A parcel arrives with only a corner of its label intact. The machine attempts to reconstruct the address from partial data. It cross-references weight, size, origin scan, and any remnant text. It is successful perhaps 60% of the time. The rest go to human review. 4 a.m., the hardest hour of any night shift. Not because the work is heavier, because the body expects sleep. Circadian rhythms do not reset easily. Workers who have done this for years describe it the same way. The wall hits between 3:30 and 4:30, then it lifts, then the shift is almost done. The overnight supervisor changes at 4:30 a.m. James hands the operation to Carol. A 5-minute briefing. What lines are running? What trucks are outstanding? One sticky situation in Bay 12, a load with a manifest discrepancy. Carol takes the tablet. James takes his coat. He's gone before 4:35. The holiday season changes everything. Mail volume increases by 40 to 60% in the 6 weeks before Christmas. The facility adds a third shift in some departments. Temporary workers are brought in, trained over 2 days, assigned to the less technical roles. The permanent workers absorb the pressure without complaint. This is when the system is genuinely tested. 5 a.m. The third and final wave of inbound mail arrives. Local collections from overnight drop boxes and the early commercial pickups from businesses that deposit in bulk. These arrive pre-sorted to a degree, rubber banded in batches by zip code. A head start. The machine still processes them, but faster. The final output of a night sort is a set of delivery trays, each one packed with mail for a single carrier route. They are stacked in a specific sequence, the route's natural walk order, house by house, block by block. So when the carrier picks up the tray in the morning, they can walk the route without reshuffling a single piece. Not every piece makes it to a tray. A small percentage, typically under 1%, experiences what the system calls a missort. The piece ends up in the wrong sequence tray. These are caught at the local delivery unit. A supervisor reviews them. They go back another night, another sort. The system has tolerance built in. 6 a.m. The first pale light arrives outside. At the main facility, the night's processing is nearly complete. The machines are still running. They will not stop. But the volume has thinned. Workers begin end-of-shift reporting. Counts are compiled. Truck departures logged. The overnight supervisor prepares her handoff report. At the local delivery units, the day begins in earnest. Carriers arrive before 7 a.m. Each one walks to a case, a row of pigeonholes organized by street address along their route. They pull their tray, they verify their count, they case any remaining flats, then they load their vehicle. Then they go. The letter carrier's job looks simple from the outside. Walk, deliver, walk. But behind that walk is a system, a case, a route, a sequence of houses, a mental map built over months or years. The experienced carrier knows which house has a dog, which mailbox is broken, which resident is expecting a package they will need a signature for. Meanwhile, the main facility does not stop for the morning. The day sort begins at 6:30 a.m. New workers badge in, the machines accept new mail, the cycle restarts. A facility like this processes mail around the clock, not in 2 12-hour bursts, but in a continuous wave that shifts in character but never in direction. The system, has a language of its own: zip codes, routing barcodes, bundle labels, carrier sequence numbers, endorsement lines that tell the carrier what to do if the piece is undeliverable. These are not incidental notations, they are the machine's grammar. Every digit has a function. There are things the public postal system cannot sort: hazardous materials, live animals with very specific exceptions, perishables without proper packaging. The acceptance protocols are designed to keep these out, but they still appear. A snake in a shoebox discovered at a local post office, a leaking battery pack, a bottle of liquid mislabeled. The system has a response for all of it. There is also the matter of security. Postal facilities are federal property in the United States. Access is controlled. Uniformed inspectors conduct random sweeps. X-ray equipment is used for packages of concern. The Postal Inspection Service is one of the oldest law enforcement agencies in the country. Most people have never heard of it. Every letter carries a moment: a birthday card signed by 17 family members, a legal notice that will change someone's living situation, a handwritten apology sent too late, a bill that has been ignored for 3 months. The machinery does not know this. It processes each piece at the same speed with the same logic. The weight of content is invisible to the system. 7 a.m. The morning supervisor walks the floor for the first time. She is not replacing anyone. The machine does not care about shift transitions. She notes the equipment status, reviews the overnight summary, checks outstanding exceptions. She has done this for 9 years. Her first walk of the morning always takes exactly 22 minutes. Outside, the world has begun to move. Traffic is building. Coffee shops are opening. The day's surface routine is starting. But in the facility and in the vans now spreading across the city's routes, the night's work is being delivered, piece by piece, address by address, the invisible made tangible. The woman who dropped her envelope last night does not know what happened after she walked away. She will not know that it passed through 3 cities, that it was photographed 17 times, that a machine read its address in 0.04 seconds, that it arrived on the correct route tray at 4:38 this morning. There are approximately 31,000 postal facilities operating in the United States alone. Each one is a node. Each node connects to others. The full network is one of the most complex logistics systems ever built, predating the internet, predating the telephone, predating electric light. It runs every day. It has always run. The machines at the facility will run for the next 16 hours without the maintenance crew touching them again, unless something changes. The system is designed to be resilient. Redundant conveyors mean that if one lane fails, adjacent lanes absorb the load. The backup path is always already in place. Electronic tracking has changed public expectations dramatically. A parcel sent 20 years ago would simply appear one day on the doorstep. Now the sender watches a tracking number update in near real time. They know the city, the facility, the expected delivery window. The expectation has moved faster than the infrastructure. The gap between expectation and execution is where most postal complaints originate. A package scanned at 11:42 p.m. should arrive tomorrow, but a weather event delays the outbound truck. A mechanical issue holds the parcel at the facility for 6 hours. The customer sees no update. They assume something has failed. Often nothing has. The system is simply catching up. Inside the facility, there is a wall, not a physical wall, a conceptual one. It is the line between the world of the sender and the world of the system. On one side, personal intention, a gift, a payment, a letter of condolence. On the other side, weight, dimension, origin code, and destination barcode. The system knows only the second language. 8 a.m., the night shift workers are asleep. Most of them. Some will not sleep until noon. Some will never fully invert their circadian rhythm. They exist in a twilight state, awake when the city is dark, invisible when the city is active. It is a particular kind of labor. It leaves its mark. Back at the facility, a different kind of work begins at 8:30 a.m. Administrative supervisors compile overnight reports, volume counts, error rates, machine downtime, truck departure times versus scheduled times. This data is not ceremonial. It feeds back into the planning cycle. Tomorrow night's staffing is adjusted based on tonight's numbers. Consider what just happened. Between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m., a single facility moved close to 200,000 pieces of mail. Each piece was physically handled, scanned, sorted, moved, loaded. Each piece traveled through a sequence of decisions that took milliseconds. Each piece left the building, bound for a specific address. Almost none of this was visible to the public. International mail adds another layer of complexity. A letter from Germany arrives at a gateway facility already sorted to country level. It carries a customs declaration form, a small green label with a handwritten or typed description of contents. Customs protocols are checked. If cleared, the piece enters the domestic sort system as if it originated here. If flagged, it is held. A different process begins. The coordination between international postal systems is governed by a body most people have never heard of, the Universal Postal Union. Founded in 1874, it sets the rules by which member nations exchange mail, terminal dues, transit rates, format standards. Without it, a letter from Japan could not find its way to a post box in Brazil, the invisible infrastructure of the invisible infrastructure. The overnight postal system runs on compressed time. A piece of mail that will take 2 days to be delivered actually spends most of that time not moving, sitting in a tray, waiting for a truck, in transit in a vehicle. The machine's active involvement lasts perhaps 20 minutes across the entire journey. The rest is waiting, deliberately structured waiting. By 9 a.m., the carriers are on their routes. The sorting facility is well into its day sort. The night's work is already invisible. The machines have processed new mail on top of the old mail. The system has reset itself, not with a pause, but in continuous motion, like an ocean current that changes without stopping. That envelope, the one dropped into the blue box at 6:14 p.m., is now with a carrier. She is walking a residential street 2 miles from where the sender lives. She does not know the sender. The sender does not know her. This is the design. A system built for strangers. We take it for granted. The system works, so we do not notice it. We notice the delay. We notice the wrong address. We notice the crumpled parcel. But the hundreds of thousands of pieces that moved correctly through the night, that arrived on time, that found the right door, those are invisible. That is the nature of a system that works. The facility is also not static. It evolves. Machines are upgraded. Sorting algorithms are updated. New scanning technologies are piloted. The physical infrastructure is decades old in places. Conveyor frames from the 1990s running firmware updated last year. Old bones. New thinking. The system adapts incrementally, never all at once. Noria, the facer canceller operator, ends her shift at 7 a.m. She removes her ear protection, she stretches her hands, she clocks out, she drives home. She will be back at 9 p.m. In between, she will sleep, she will eat, she will tend to the ordinary life that exists outside the building. She has done this for 11 years. She does not think of it as sacrifice. She thinks of it as routine. The day carrier, the one who walks your street, is also part of this system, though she may not know the facility that processed her tray. She knows her route. She knows the people on her route. She knows which houses get heavy parcels on Mondays, which elderly residents look forward to their mail enough to wait by the window. She carries more than letters. Consider the engineering of an address: a street name, a number, a city, a state, a zip code. 5 layers of specificity that together identify one particular location on a continent of 330 million people. And a machine can read it and route it correctly in under 1/10 of a second. That is not ordinary. That is extraordinary, made ordinary by repetition. By 10 a.m., the first delivery complaints begin arriving at the facility. Mostly phone calls. A resident says a package was marked delivered, but was not in the mailbox. An address says mail has not arrived in 4 days. A business reports a shipment missing. The facility does not handle these calls directly. They go through a central inquiry system, but the data filters back. Complaints are cross-referenced with sort records. Most are resolved within 24 hours. There's a particular kind of silence that settles in the facility during the mid-morning hours. Not quiet, the machines are still loud. But the urgency has shifted. The night's critical window has closed. The morning's processing has its own rhythm, steadier, less compressed. The workers who are still on the floor have been here since 6:30 or 7 o'clock. They are in their stride. The system is humbling if you let it be. It is vast, and most of it is invisible. It runs in the dark. It is staffed by people whose names you will never know, moving mail whose contents they will never read, toward addresses they have never visited. It connects. It does not announce. It simply delivers. And at 9 p.m., another collection driver will drop the first bags of the night into the intake. Another batch of 180,000 pieces will begin their journey. Another night shift will badge in. The machines will receive them. The sort will begin again. The cycle is not metaphorical. It is mechanical. It turns. This is not secret. It is not hidden by design. It is simply operating on a different schedule than the life most people live. The machine runs while the city sleeps, while you watch television, while you drive to the airport, while you eat dinner. It is always running. It ran last night. It is running right now. The next time you drop a letter in a blue box or find your mail at the door, notice the small thing, the sequence it traveled, the hands that did not touch it, but the machines that did, the decisions made at 3 a.m. by people running on coffee and repetition. Notice the system. It was built for you. It has been working this whole time. Under this video, there is a subscribe button. It is a small action, but it helps reveal the systems most people never notice. If you are curious about how everyday life actually functions, how things move, how things connect, how the world keeps running while most of us are asleep, consider subscribing and tell us in the comments. Where are you watching from? Have you ever worked inside a system like this? We read every comment. The hidden world is worth talking about.